Hello everybody and welcome to another session on machine learning here on Afi Ether. Today we are going to learn about binary classification prediction. Binary classification is really important in machine learning because we can predict with a confidence measured from 0 to 1 how the model thinks the output will be. And for today's lesson we are going to leverage TensorFlow in JavaScript to train such a model and try to increase the accuracy of the prediction of the binary classification. Let's have a look over the tech stack used in the process. First of all, we are going to use Jupyter, which is a code evaluation tool with nice graphic capabilities. And on top of it, we have Deno configured, which, if you don't know, is an open source runtime for JavaScript and TypeScript, and has lots of interesting features. The most important of it is that it has a native kernel for Jupyter, so it integrates quite nicely with it. Now, if these two are not configured on your machine, you need to watch my two other videos where I will talk about configuring, first of all, Miniconda to activate Jupyter, and then there's another video which I have which will guide you through the process of configuring Deno, thus activating the JavaScript support in your machine. And then you can leverage the TensorFlow JS, and this is really important because it's an industry-leading machine learning framework, and it can be used to train and deploy models even in a modern web browser. Now, what we are also going to use in today's lesson is Luxon. Luxon is a continuation library from Moment.js, if you know it, and it's really nice to use in order to handle datetime operations. So I'm going to leverage it a little bit. And last but not least, I'm going to use Node.js Polars, which is a super fast data frame implementation in JavaScript. So let's see what we are going to achieve in today's lesson. Being a pragmatical person, I really like my examples to be real world and practical, okay? Hence today we are going to predict if Afi goes for a run. Now each machine learning problem needs to have some input data. And in this case, our input data will be the following. So Afi goes for a run on each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of the week, with only one exception. If any of these days is the last day of the month, he will do cleaning instead of going for a run. Okay? And our purpose today is to train a model which will output values between 0 and 1. A value close to 0 is meaning that the model is pretty confident that Afi will not go for a run today. And if the value is very close to 1 or even 1, this model means that the model is really confident that Afi will go for a run. Okay? We will do the code, we will adapt, we will have fun, and you can also find the code on GitHub. So let's jump into it. Alright, so I created one blank notebook with Deno, and I'm ready to start the tutorial. So let's first keep it a little bit organized, and I'm going to add a markdown, and here will be the names of TensorFlow JS binary classification. And the problem will be that we solve. How can I edit this? I cannot edit. Okay, I want another sub. So predict if Afi goes for a run today. Okay. All right. Before jumping in, so I'm going to introduce Luxon because we need to generate the data. And let's add the comment first. import the Luxon library. And we will import it using import, and we are going to use the date time, since we need the date time to generate the data from. You need to say the npm prefix, remember from the last lesson, npm Luxon. Cool, so I see that there is no error. Let's have a data. I would suggest first to try with data for the last, let's say, 4 months, and we can adapt on the spot and see how it goes. So I'm going to use a start date in order to generate the data, and I'm going to use date time dot from object. So this is a method which is available in our datetime, let's say, class. And this object can have multiple properties, but we are going to define the first, let's say, June. Okay, so 1st of June can be defined like month 6, day 1, month 6, and we will use year 2024. Okay, and I'm also going to use an end date. I will use the date of the 31st of October. That from object. Let's copy this one to make it faster, and I'm going to say 31st October from object. Okay, we don't have any errors, and let's see if these two have been generated properly. Can end date. I think you cannot show 2 of them. Yeah, should be all right. How can we generate the data for it? So remember, I will add a comment. Remember the rules that I told you about in the presentation. So Afi goes for a run every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, except for last day of the month. Okay, so if the last day of the month falls on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, he will not go for a run. And in order to achieve this, we are going to use a while loop. We are going to generate this data and push it inside an array. First, we are going to create a variable which we will call it the loop date. The loop date will start from the start date. Okay, so it will start from the 1st of June. And we are going also to define the learning data, which will be an empty array. Practically, this data will contain our model's input, and it will contain everything that the model needs to know before having the training process complete. Okay, and let's see why. And we'll say while loop date. While loop date is less than or equal to end date, a particular thing that I don't like in Deno is that even if I change the settings to indentation of in 2 spaces, it doesn't work. I don't know. I don't know exactly why. So first of all, let's see if our loop is correct. First of all, we are going to loop date equals loop date. Let's capitalize this letter plus. So practically we are going to go day by day. Luckily, our Luxon library is very nice. We have this method called plus, so we can advance our date plus one, let's say, duration. And in this case, we are adding one date in our one date to our date. Okay. So let's see console log output loop date. All right, we can see a lot of data here. Okay. I think we also see 1st of November. Perhaps I don't know if I want also the 1st of November, but it doesn't really matter. I don't think one day in plus or minus does matter, but it's okay. If we want to have this output in a more nice format, we can use the toFormat function. And I think here we can specify something like day, the month, and the year. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, so we can see we have it in a much nicer way. Okay. Now, we are not interested in so much into the output of it, but we want to populate the learning data array. And we are going to add into the learning data the necessary entry for each day. Okay. First of all, what I want to have is for, let's say, the day string, although I don't think we will need to use it. And I will use the same like here, the formatted date. Then I want to have the weekday. And this weekday will practically be the number of current number of the day. I mean, the day of the week in numbers. So if it's a Monday, it will be 1. If it's Wednesday, it will be 3. And if it's Sunday, it will be 7. Okay. Loop. This can be accessed with loop date.weekday. Then what we will need? We will need to see if this is a last day of the month. Is last day of month. How do we calculate this? So practically we will have to use loop date. So we'll check that current day equals, we have also the loop date that days in month. So the loop days in month will return the dates month number of days. So the number of days in that particular month. Okay. That the date is representing, something like that. Days in month, so this has to be plural. And let's see, we also need to have going for run. And I think this is the last property that we will need. Now going for run will be something like, we will need to see loop date dot weekday, not the day itself, if it equals 1. This is a Monday. Or loop date weekday, is it at Wednesday, or if it's Friday, which is 5. Okay. And we also need to make sure that it's not the last date of the month. Date of the month, we can check it like loop date dot day. It should be different than the days in the month. Okay, should be different than this one. And I think this should be it. Let's see if this one works. All right, let's have a look over the input data. Cool. I'm going to increase the size of this one. So we will see the date string, we see if what weekday it is here. So we have a Saturday, and it's not the last day of the month, but since it's a Saturday, AF is not going for a run. The next weekday is Sunday, so it's not the last day of the month, but it's not going for a run either because it's a Sunday. Now, the 3rd of June is a Monday, is not the last day of the month, and AF is going for a run. Nice. The next day is a Tuesday. He's not going for a run. And but on Wednesday, he will go for a run, as we can see. Another day of recovery on Thursday, so that Friday he can go again for a run, as you can see. And let's see how many, if we have any day of the month which is the last day of the month and AFI will not go for a run. We can do something like filter, and we can say something is last day of the month equals to something like that. Yeah, we have the 31st of the July, which is Wednesday, which is the last day of the month, so he's not going for a run. Okay, and yeah, in this case we have a Saturday, and this is where although it's the last day of the month, he's not going anywhere because it's all falling outside the range of Wednesdays, Fridays, or Mondays, whatever. Okay, so I believe that data so far should be correct. Good. Alright, so before jumping out to the next section, I think I will delete this part and also this part to make the code very clean. And I'm going to start the next section, which is going to be the preparation of data for model fitting. Okay, and this is really important because we have to have in mind that a machine learning model doesn't know anything about strings or booleans. It only works with numbers, and we need to ensure that our data is prepared in such a way that the model will understand. Okay, but before jumping in, so if you have any questions, don't forget that I have a contact form on the website, and I would like to hear you out. I'm really curious to hear your feedback, so please use the contact form to contact me. So this is in afieter.com/contact. I do have a CAPTCHA over there. I hope it's not really that complicated. And if you are want to stay up to date with news, just go to the subscribe. You can subscribe over there, and sometimes, so I plan to have also some campaigns to get yourself some bonuses, why not, and things like that if you subscribe to my newsletter, and it will be really appreciated from me, since I'm new and I'm starting out with these tutorials, and which I hope that will be useful for you as well, because for me they are, and I learn a lot from them. Good. Let's see how we can prepare the model. So I'm going to use the polars library. I'm going to import the polars from npm prefix node.js polars. Okay, has been imported successfully. Good, we have polars imported. Now we can declare our data frame. We can use learning df as a name, and we can use pollers that read records. This is a built-in function which reads from an array practically. It can also read from CSV or from JSON, doesn't really matter. And let's see if this worked. Yeah. And in order to make sure that we have it correctly imported, we can use what were, let's say, weekday. This is practically to test if we have the necessary length. Okay, so we have 153 records. Good. This one then has been imported correctly. And what we will need to do, let's declare it here. So we have the data frame, but we need to have the like a model data frame, because we need to convert the 0 to 0 and 1, the true and falses that we have already in the model. Okay, because if we see, we can see learning df. It looks really nice. We have these values, but in our scenario we don't really need the day string. It doesn't help us in any way. So what we are going to supply to the model is the weekday. If we have it a day, like the last day of the month, and then the output will be in a secondary vector if it's going for a run or not. Okay, and let's declare like model df. We can say directly learning df because we don't really need that one. No, let's say model df. And we are going to do something like learning the data frame dot select, and we will have a big select function parameters right here. So we will use first of all the column, which is a weekday, and we can use the pl.call, which stands from the column weekday. This one we will use it as it is. Then we will use, what's the name of the column, is the last day of the month. Okay, so we will say pl does have this when, which is practically defining let's say an if. Okay, and we will say if the column this column is the last day of the month, and if this is equals true, our result should be with then, and we can use the literal pl.lit. So if we have true value, we will convert it to 1. Okay, and we copy this. Otherwise it will be 0. And I want to keep the alias, let's say this the same alias, the same name, is last day of the month. Well, I don't like the fact that its indentation is a bit crap in Deno, but maybe they will work it out in the future. Okay, and then we need to have the same thing done for going for the run column. Okay, which is a boolean, and we will need to convert it to 1 and 0. Oh, not this one, this one, this one. And let's see how it looks like. Model df. Okay, I forgot something, of course. Yeah, I need to close this parentheses. And I think this one as well. let's see. pl.call.equal, I think when I don't know exactly. I think this, let's fix this thing. All right, perfect. So now we have the values converted to zeros and ones, and they are kind of ready for the model ingestion. Cool, let's kickstart our next stage, which will be called the training and of the model. It will also instantiate, so we'll instantiate and train the model. Okay, and this is really an important step, and we will need to make it right, since it can be, a bit tricky to get all those parameters ready. But first, let's import TensorFlow from our npm repository. TensorFlow tf.js node. Now I will use the Node GPU version, since I have an NVIDIA CUDA ready. But I will add a comment here. Use the TFS just node, I think, if you don't have CUDA. Okay, just to make sure that it's you are familiar with this particular step. Now we are going to use a sequential model. We will design the model as a sequential. You can say tf.sequential. Okay, and in this model we are going to use 3 layers. So the first layer will be the input layer, and we will add a dense layer, and let's start with let's say 16 units. The input shape will be like 2 elements. Shape 2 elements, and we will use the relu activation. Now these parameters have to be, I tried a little bit with them, I mixed them up, and this is what I saw that works best. So I don't know, I will create some other tutorials and I will have to do my own research on these parameters, because they are a little bit elusive to me as well. Let's say start with the activation layer. No, the input layer, sorry. Then we are going to use the second layer. So this is like a hidden layer, which will be the help with the learning, so to say. And secondary learning hidden layer, which will have the same an activation relu. And the final layer will be the output layer. I think we will need just 1 unit, and the activation in order to produce values between 0 and 1 has to be sigmoid. Okay, and okay, we are having the code compiling just fine. Let's now compile the model in memory. We are going to use the model.compile method, which will receive some parameters. First of all, it will receive the loss function as a parameter. Since we are having a binary classification problem, we will use the binary cross entropy. And we will use Adam as an optimizer. Optimizer Adam. Okay, yeah, it compiles, good. And time to declare the tensors. In the b-dimensional tensors, we will have the XS tensor, which will be declared as a TF dot tensor 2D. It will receive as an input the input vector, and the shape of it will be the input vector dot length, and we will let TensorFlow know that there are 2 dimensions of each row in this vector flow. Okay, and now for the YS vector, this will be implemented from the output vector. Output vector of length, and it will have the only one element as a size. Okay, let's add here a comment: define tensors. Okay, so far so good, and I think we are ready to start the fitting model, so we can use await. This fitting model function is awaitable, so we need to call await, which works out of the box in Deno. YS, and how we will do it, so we will use, let's say, epochs. Let's say 100 epochs for now. I want a verbosity of 0. I want to disable it, and I always use the validation split 30% or 20%, I don't know, depending on the use case, but I usually use 30%. Okay, and I suppose this should take some time. No, it didn't take that much, but I don't like the fact that I always get this output. So if you want to, let's say, suppress this output, I usually do something like np equals, and it should suppress the output, as you can see. Okay. Super. So now that we have the model trained, it's time to test it. That brings us to the next stage, where we will test the model. Test the model by creating predictions. Okay. Now let's see how we can do this. So practically we will have let's say an array of let's say input array. Predict inputs. It will be let's say quite a big array, and we will have something like 1 0, and let's add like 5 values, nothing really special. Now what does 1 0 represent? It will represent, so 1 will be the day of the week, which in this case will be Monday, and if it's the last day of the month, not the last day of month. Okay, and let's add something like 5 values. Let's add 2 0, which will be Tuesday. Let's add Wednesday. 3 1, and is the last day of the month. Okay, let's add 4 1. which is a Thursday. This is a Wednesday, sorry, let's not forget. Okay, and this is a Thursday, is the last month of the last day of the month. And also add 50, which is Friday. Okay, and let's also instantiate the tensor, because everything in TensorFlow works with tensors. And we can say predict tensor, which will be equal to tf.2d, tensor2d, sorry. And the input will be predict inputs, and we will have like predict inputs dot length, and there will be two of them. Okay, the compilation is fine until now, and let's do the actual prediction. Const prediction equals to, so the model itself has a nice method called predict, which is awaitable. We can say something, we will pass the predict tensor, and we will pass, no, I don't think we need to do anything else, and we need to retrieve the data from it. Let's see. Okay, let's see how the prediction looks like. Pretty interesting. So you see, these are all the corresponding values. So if we have something like this, and if we say something Monday, Tuesday, okay, let's just have this comment here. Let's analyze the first result. So our model predicted with a 62% chance that Afi will run today, because this is Monday and this is not the last day of the month. There's also a 53% chance that Tuesday, which is not the last day of the month, Afi will run. But this is quite a high prediction, so it's pretty confident, I would say. Wednesday. So Wednesday is the last day of the month, and it predicted with 32% chances that Afi will run. Thursday, the last day of the month, 24% chances, and Friday, when Afi should run, it has 29% chances. Well, just based on these predictions, I would say the model is not really accurate, right? The model is not really accurate, and it can be because of a couple of reasons. From what I've played with, these activations do not really make any much difference, but what does it make a difference is to have more units. That's why I have added more units to these two layers, and also one really important factor is the epochs. Okay, usually we should find pretty good results if we have like 2000 epochs right here, and it's also a matter of having the right data. For now we have like 4 months of data. We can also increase the data and, let's say, decrease the epochs, or do the other way around, since having both too big leads to weird results, in my opinion. Okay, so let's try to find out some possible tweaks in order to make these predictions correct. Okay, I forgot to close the parentheses here. Alright, I see the same predictions, but I want the predictions to be correlated with the description. Yeah. So we can do something like map. Let's say pred from prediction, and we will return an object which will have pred, the prediction, and the description. And it will be something like I think we can also have the index, right? This function also has the index, so we will need to say predict inputs of e.d. Of course, it's not working. I think we will need to use a parenthesis again. Strange things happening. It's acting very strange. So what I will do, I think I will check with the predict inputs. I will use the map, and I will say let's see, this way. I forgot to close this one. Okay, yeah, I see the, yeah, I think this predict data function, whatever, returns a strange array which doesn't work correctly with map. That's my only hunch on it, so I will have to use a different approach. So practically we will say pred is equals to prediction I at index I, and then the description will be pred.d. Perfect. This is what I wanted to accomplish. So I wanted to have a clear view of what is the prediction and what is the description that we added for this kind of prediction. Okay, and now it's time to tweak our model. First of all, I would try to use, let's say, 1000 epochs, because increasing the number of epochs will usually make the model a bit more accurate, but it will also take a bit of more time to train. Okay, training ready, and time to see our predictions. Okay, for Tuesday, nope. This is not a good prediction, and also I'm not satisfied with the Friday. So it seems that increasing the number of epochs didn't do anything in particular. Perhaps I will increase it once more, but with 3000. But this will take a lot more time to train. Okay, another round of testing. Let's see how our model predicts. Okay, we have a much different result. So we have the prediction 0.99 for Monday, which is awesome, really good. For Tuesday, since it's Tuesday and we are AFI doesn't run on Tuesday, we see 0.19, which is also good. Then for the other two, we see quite an odd number, but the idea is that this is a number which is very low, which is really close to 0. Okay, this one the same, but I really like the fact that it now predicted very accurately the Friday. Okay, and let me arrange these ones a little bit. And I also want to predict a Friday which is the last day of the month, and perhaps let's say a Wednesday when it's not the last day of the month. Oop. I don't really like this indentation, so I say Wednesday, not the last day of the month, and let's run it. So the last two, you see Friday is the last day of the month. We have yeah, a prediction pretty accurate. This is really close to 0, even though it's this notation is a bit odd also for me. And yeah, we don't have a good prediction for Wednesday. It says it should run on Wednesday. Yeah, so Afi should run on Wednesday, but it predicted that 0.37 chance of doing so. That means that maybe we are not really correct in our training somewhere. But yeah, so far these are really accurate, and I really like them. Now that the training has been completed, yeah, I've checked it already, and it seems that for Thursday it's not predicting very well. I think maybe not necessarily the data itself, maybe there is another tweak with the layers, or with these loss functions or optimizers. I have no idea, but let's see what can I do next. I would also want to add something else in order to make it more visible. So I would define a threshold, constant threshold. Let's say it's 0.6. So in this threshold, if the prediction is greater than the threshold, it will output something like going, or not, or running. Not running. Okay, let's do something like this. So Thursday running, Wednesday. Okay, I think besides Thursday everything is super okay. Let's also try one Sunday. No, it's Sunday. Yes, he's not running on Sunday. So this one is the problem right now. I don't know if it's because of the test data or not. But I think for the purpose of the tutorial, we can end right here. So if you have any ideas for suggestions, just let me know. So you can go over to affiliator.com and you can contact me here and see what other projects I'm doing. And yeah, so far I hope it's interesting for you. Although I don't know exactly what is happening with the Thursday prediction, I think for now we are quite good, and I'm really very satisfied of the result, even if it's not perfect. Okay, so yeah, as always, thank you very much for watching, and if you found this really useful, don't forget to like and subscribe, and wish you a nice day. Cheers!